So hello everyone. Before we start, I would like to put up a question. In which invention in the human history you think has changed the life completely? So there could be many answers for these questions, but what I feel is the invention was the invention of wheel. So life became very easy due to this one invention. The wheel ended many troubles and people invented many more important things on the basis of this wheel. Like motor vehicle, industrial machines, and so many luxuries that we enjoy today. So the essence of this short story is that once you have a particular good platform and good resources, you can focus on the main problems and you can resolve them. So that was the very idea behind the invention of Python programming language. Guido van Rossum invented this programming language because he wanted a language which should be easy to understand, and the programmer can concentrate only on the problem statement instead of struggling with the complexity of the other programming language. So this is how the Python came into existence. Now we only have 1 hour and there is so much to learn. So we will try to cover as many topics as we can, and definitely I will skip some topics during the journey. Okay, the first thing is why we should learn Python. Why Python is so important. So the reason is Python is one of the most popular programming language among the developers, engineers, hackers even, because there are some features in Python that we cannot find in any other languages, like versatility, flexibility, object-oriented structure. If you want to make a career in web development, data analytics, data scientist, machine learning, deep learning, artificial intelligence, you must have this knowledge of Python. Now, again, a question arises, why Python is so popular? So the features that we get Python are Python is free and open source. Python is high level. Python is interpreted. Python is dynamically typed, and Python is blessed with large community. Now, what does this mean? Free and open source means you can download Python, you can write code, you can redistribute it with anyone without any restrictions. So this is the reason why Python is so popular. What is meant by high level and interpreted? So if a language is called high level and interpreted, it means whatever you write in your code, that gets directly interpreted and executed. जो हाई लेवल लैंग्वेज होती है उसमें हम क्या करते हैं कि जो भी हम लोग कोड में टाइप करते हैं वो हम डायरेक्टली इंटरप्रेट करते हैं और एग्जीक्यूट करते हैं, जबकि जो लो लेवल लैंग्वेज होती है उसमें क्या होता है, हम जो कोड लिखते हैं वो पहले कंपाइल्ड होता है, उसके बाद then it gets converted into machine level language, and then after we can save it in some executable form. So this is the reason Python is important for the developers, and it is called beginner's language because it is easy to read, easy to write, it is easy to understand. Now again a point, Python is dynamically typed. What does this mean? This means you don't need to bother about the type of data that you are going to save in variables. We all know about the variables. Variables are the memory locations, and we can store data in that variable. So when you when you type any variable, when you try to store any data, you don't need to give the specification of the data type. It automatically interpreted by the interpreter. So this is called dynamically typed language. Now, what is blessed with large community? There are millions of people available who are working on Python, who are sharing their experience. So if you get stuck in your coding or any problem, then you can get the answer within minutes. There are so many people around to help you out. So that is why Python is so much popular. And of course, you can see example here that why the syntax of Python is very much simple. If you write a hello world, yeah, hello Python program in two languages, one is Java and the Python. So Python needs only one statement, only one print function. But in Java, you need to write 2 or 3 lines to get this printed. So again, Python is very simple in language, in syntax. Okay, let's move further. So this is how you print a statement or an output on the terminal in Python. It just need a print function, and whatever you want to print, you can write within a parenthesis and inverted quotes. This is quite simple. If you want to write something with blank lines between the text, you can write it like this. Here we have India and Australia, and between India and Australia, we can set 5 blank lines like this. It's a new line character. So when we write this and execute this, you can see that here we have blank lines between India and Australia. So this is how the print function works in Python. Now let's see what is the main function in Python. Excuse me. So what is main function? What is main function in Python? Main function, or you can give any name. So here we can consider a situation where we have defined two functions. The one is main, the other is print. And when we execute this code, we can see that only print function is producing the output. Why? Why this happened? So the answer is, when any user defines his function, then that function need to be called before execution. If you do not call that function, it will never produce the output. Now relate this particular situation with the code. Here we are defining a main function, and in that main function, we are writing a print statement. Welcome to Python learning. Now outside that main function, we have one more print function, that is add syntax simple. So here we have two functions. One is main function and the other is this print function. So when we execute this particular code, we get only output as add syntax simple. You can see that the print function inside this main function does not exist. Why this happened? Because we haven't called that main function. Now consider the situation again we have defined two functions. One is main, one is print, and we have a little change over here. Before execution, we have called the main function. Main, you also have to run. Okay, so here we can see that print is also working, and main function is also working. Now again, relate the situation with the code. So here we have main function. Inside that main function, we have a print statement, welcome to Python learning. And outside that main function, we are calling this. So this is how you call a function. Here is a definition, and here is the calling. And here outside this main function, we have second function, that is print at syntax syntax. So we have defined a function main, we have called it, and we have written a second statement, second function. Now we will execute this. So here we get both the outputs, one from main function and one from the print statement, which is outside the main function. So this is very important. Whenever you write a function, you need to call it. If you are writing it in a class, you have to make object of that class and you have to call that function. Without function calling, the function will never produce the output. Now comes the Python comment. So as we all know, comments are very important. Why? Because it increases the readability of the code. If you want to add some additional information in the code for the user, then you can add comments. So in Python, we use hash for single line comment. And if you want to comment multiple lines, you need to write that comment in triple quotes. Okay. You already have seen that example. Here we can see some more. So here I am writing something with some comment. So hash can be used for single line comments, and if you want to write some comment in multiple lines, you can write in this. So this is how you can comment multiple lines in a code. Now comes the variable. So what are variables? Variables are nothing but memory location in the storage, and we can store some value in that location. And whatever we define as a data type, the interpreter allocates memory according to that data type. So how do we assign a variable in Python? That is also very simple. You just need an equal to sign, that is assignment operator, to assign a variable. Here we have a variable name and we have written a string data, that is syntax in inverted quotes. So this is a variable of string type. You can observe that we haven't specified the data type here. It has automatically interpreted as this is a string because it is in inverted quotes. The second variable is year and the data is 2020. And the third variable is distance and the data is 10.5. So here we have not specified the data types, but it is obvious that the first is string, the second is integer, and the third is float type. So interpreter automatically check the data type of this data and allocates the memory accordingly. So here we can check, and yes, the data has been saved properly in the variable. Now what if you want to redeclare a variable? Again, this is a very simple process. If we have declared some value in a code, in a variable earlier, then anytime you can change the value of that variable. So here we again write some variables, name, year, and distance, and the data is Syntec 2020 and 10.5, a string, a integer, and an float value. Here we print these values, and now here we are redeclaring the variables. Here we have changed the value. In name we are writing Simtel, in year we are writing 2021, and in distance we are writing 100.5. So here we have changed the data. So here you can see that we have declared some value, we executed that code, and then we redeclared the values, and again we get the output. So both outputs are changed. Now let's see what is called the multiple assignment. So in multiple assignment, what we do, we declare 2 or 3 or any number of variables, but we assign common value to that variables. So all those variables pointed to a single memory location. Let's see how. So here you can see that how we assign a common data to. Excuse me, I can hear so much noise. Excuse me, I can hear so much noise in background. Please keep your mics mute. So here we can see that how we can assign a common value to 3 variables, x equal to y equal to z, and that whole thing is equal to 100. So all these 3 variables pointing to the same memory location with the stored value 100 in integer form. So let's check it using a print statement individually for x, y, and z. When we execute this code, we can see that all the 3 variables x, y, and z produce the same output as 100. So it means the common value has been stored in all 3 variables. Now, if you want to assign different values to different variables, but in a single line, how can you do that? So this is how you can write. We have 3 variables x, comma y, comma z, and the values are equal to 100, comma Syntec.5.5. So according to the positions, 100 goes to x, Syntec goes to y, and 5.5 goes to z. And definitely all 3 data types are different. So again, we will check it using print statement. Yes, the x is producing 100, the y is producing 70, and z is producing 5.5. So this is how you assign 3 different values to 3 different variables in a single line, and that is quite easy in Python. Now comes the concatenation of a variable. What is meant by concatenation? It means the joining of 2 different type of data, or 2 same type of data. A different type of data, if you want to join, then you have to convert the data type into similar form. That is called the typecasting. So first we start with the same type of variables. So here we have first variable Syntec, the other variable is Simtel. And if I want to concatenate these 2 variables, I have to use the plus operator, addition operator. that we all know.
मैं ये चालू कर लिया मैंने इधर, चल ठीक है।
So in output, after execution, we can see that the two strings got joined, Syntax and simple, and there is no space between them. But what happens if we join two different type of data? So the first variable is again Syntax. The second variable is y 2020. There are two different data types. One is string and the other is integer. So when we try to concatenate these two variables, we will definitely get an error. Yes, because string cannot be concatenated with integer type. So what we have to do? We have to convert the data type, and that is called the typecasting. Again, two variables, one is string, that is integer, and here we will convert integer into string. So we have taken another variable that is z, and here is we are converting integer into string using str. So this is a keyword. Using str, you can convert anything into integer. And now we can concatenate x with z. Or there is another way to do this. Instead of saving it in another variable, we can change the type of y during runtime using str. So both the output will be same. You can check it. Yes. Syntax 2020, Syntax 2020. So both the statements producing the same output. So this is how you can concatenate two different type of data types in Python. Now comes the concept of global variables and local variables. So what are global variables? The global variables are the variables that are defined outside any function or any method. They are available for rest of the code, and local variables that are particularly defined inside a function or method. You can use them inside that function only. Okay, so let's see it by an example. So here we have defined a variable x and the value is 10. So this is a global variable because it is outside any function. So here we will print statement outside the global output of global declaration, and the value is x. Now here again we are defining a function, my function, and the same variable name x can be declared inside, and that is called local variable. So outside the function we have declared global variable, the value is 10, and inside the function we have declared a global variable, again the name is x, but the type is different. The type of data is string, and the statement is I am declared locally. Here we have called that function. So again we have printed out the value of global variable. So when we execute this code, you can see that the first statement outside of global declaration, that is our global variable, value is 10. Then comes the function, and the output is the output of internal local variable. I am declared locally, and again the output comes from global variable, that is 10. You can again refer that statement. Here is the global variable, the value is 10. Here is the local variable, the value is I am declared locally, and again we have printed out the value of global variable. So this is the concept of global variable and local variable. Now if you want to use global variable inside a function, how will you do that? Let's check it out. So this is the same statement that we have declared earlier in the example. And here, while declaring the function, we have used the keyword global. So when we write this global here and x, it is referring to the global variable that we have written outside the statement, outside the definition of the function. So by this means, we are accessing a global variable inside a function. And yes, we can change the value of global variable inside the function like this. So here we have used global keyword. We are referring to the global variable which is declared outside the function. We have printed this value. This will produce output 10. And after that, we have changed the value from 10 to my value has been changed inside the function. We have called the function. And again, we are printing the value of x. So when this code executes, you can see that first it is producing value 10, and after that it is producing the change value. My value has been changed inside the function. Take a look. Here is the global variable declaration. It is the function definition. Inside that function definition, we are referring x, which is global. Then we have changed the value of that global variable inside that function, and then we are printing it out here. So this is how you can refer the global variable inside a function and actually can change its value. Now let's see what data types we have in Python. So the data types available in Python are numbers, strings, list, tuple, dictionaries, and boolean. We all know about these numbers, strings. The change thing is list and tuple and dictionary. So we will take this one by one as the time allows us. First of all, I would like to give the definition of the list. So what is list? You can compare this list as uh, from the array. Normally, what are array? Array is a collection of data. So list is also a collection of data. The only thing is that the only difference between list and array is that list can contain data with different data types. In array, you can store data of the same data type, but in list, you can have elements of different data types, no matter it could be integer, it could be float, it could be string, it could be another list inside the list. So all can accommodate inside a list, and the list is defined between square brackets. Now, what is tuple? So tuple is again very interesting data type. Tuple is similar to list. The only difference between a list and tuple is that tuple is unmutable. What does this mean? This means once you have defined the elements in a tuple, you cannot change them throughout the code. You can only read them, you can only use them, but you cannot change them. So this is the main difference between a list and tuple. And this is how these two data types are different from array. Now comes the dictionary. So in dictionary, we have key value pairs. The data inside the dictionary is a pair of key and the value. You have a key, you have a value, and both are associated with each other. You cannot change them. So let's take a look at the strings. Now we already know how to declare a string, how to save the value in a string variable. So this is how we write a string in inverted quotes. Now how to access the characters of the string. If you have only one character in a string, the length will be 1. So by using the index number of the strings, you can access the values. Like in this example, here what I have done, I am trying to access the value which is at the index 0. As you can see that index 0 starts from left, so the value will be capital S. Let's check it out. Now, we can also access the value within a range, not only single index, but here I am trying to fetch the values between index number 2 to 15. So let's see how it goes. Okay, the first character is S, which is at index 0, and the characters from range 2 to 15 are IENTECH space SIT. So this is how you can access the value from a string by using its index number. Now what if you want to update a string? This is our string, and if I want to update its value from index 21, I will do like this. First I have declared a variable, then I have stored a string inside that variable X. Then I'm printing that original string for the comparison, and after that from index 21 I have added a new string, that is everyone. So when I execute this code, you can see that first we have printed the original string, and the second output, an updated string, we have changed the output. Python has been replaced with everyone. So this is how, according to index numbers, you can change the value of the string stored in the variable. Now comes the operator slice. We already have seen this. So slice an operator is used to fetch the value of the characters of the at the particular index. This is a square bracket, and we will pass the index number if you want to access any of that value. Here at the index number 3, the character is E, 0, 1, 2, 3. The character is E in X. The output is E. And we already have seen that range slice character. In the last example from 2 to 15, we have accessed the thing. So this is similar here. Here I want to fetch the value between index 0 to 5. So this is how it produces the output. Now again, there is a operator, that is membership in. So whenever you try to search some character or some substring in a particular string, and if it exists there, the output will be true. Let's see how. So the variable is X, the string is syntax. Again, the second variable is Y, the string is simple. And in X, I'm trying to find T, the letter T. Definitely it is there, and the output will be true. There is again inverter of this membership operator, not in. It produces the output true when the character does not exist in the string. It is opposite to the in membership number. So here what I'm doing, I'm trying to find a letter M inside X. And as we all can see that there is no M inside X variable. So output will be true. Now here are some methods that we can use to operate on the strings. It's a huge list, and we cannot definitely go through each of the methods, but yes, we can see some. So the first method is capitalize. So what it does, when you apply this capitalize method on a string, its first letter, the very first letter, gets converted into uppercase if it is in lowercase. Here I am writing a string syntax until saving it in a variable x, and here I am applying capitalize method on the x. So as you can see that in output, the first letter of this syntax gets converted into uppercase, and actually it was in lowercase in the statement. So this is how capitalize work. Then we have count. What count does? So the method count returns the number of occurrence of substring in the range index. What does this mean? Suppose we have a string, syntax simple for Python, and we want to check the index number or the number of times m occurs in this particular string. We use count, and we have given an index range 4 to 40. So it will start search from index number 4 till index number 40, and before that it skips. Now again we have to find for that this is a substring and how many times it occurs in the main string. And here I'm not writing any range, that is I'm not specifying the index, so it will search in whole string. And the answer is 1 and 1. So both the substrings occurs one time in the main string. So this is how you can count the number of occurrences. Now comes the ends with. The method ends with returns true if the string ends with the specified suffix. Otherwise, it returns a false. So if you specify some substring and check it whether the main string ends with that particular substring, we use ends with. So here we have a string syntax simple for Python. The variable is x. Then again is a variable suffix, which is a substring, and the search word is on. And here I'm writing this suffix x dot ends with, and in bracket I have written suffix. So what it will check? It will check that whether this string ends with on or not. Now here I'm trying to check the suffix with at particular index number 25. Here I've again changed the suffix. The index number is 3 to 8. So this is how you can check whether the word ends with a particular suffix you have mentioned or not, using this ends with method. Now comes the find. So the method find determines if string or the substring occurs in the string or not within a particular range of the index. So here we have variable x. We have again a second variable y with substring sim, and we are going to find that whether y exists in x or not. And definitely you can mention the index number also. Here is the range of index number where I'm going to find this particular substring, start from 0 to end with 20. So yes, the first output, the y string exists in the main string x at the index number of 10. The second output, I'm going to check that whether y exists in x at the index number 15 or not. Definitely the answer will be -1. -1 indicates the string not formed. In the third statement, I'm trying to find the substring min string within the index range of 0 to 20. Again, the definite output is 10. So this is how you can find the substring in a min string. Now comes the index. So the method index determines if a string or substring occurs in the string or in a substring of string if start, index, begin and end. Same. Let's see the example. Here we have variable x, again a substring y, and but here we're going to find the index number of x at which the y exists. So here we are going to find that whether y exists in main string x or not. So here we have got the index number 10 where the string exists. We can count it 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 and 10. From 10th index we can find SIN. But if you're going to check this particular substring from index number 15, we will get an error. So this is how the index number can be used to find the substring. Then comes is alpha num. So the method is alpha num checks whether the string consists any alphanumeric characters or not. Let's check it out. Here we have a string x, the second string y, simple 2020. And here we check whether x is alphanumeric or not. So we will write x dot is alpha num curly bracket. Same is the case with y. And we can see that we have got output as false and true. So false is for variable x because there is no alphanumeric characters in the string x. It has only characters, no alphanumeric, no numericals. In y, we have similar string and numericals also. So the output is 2. Now the second method is alpha. The method is alpha checks whether the string consists of alphabet only. There is a string x and the string is y. You have to check here. Okay, so here is a string X, syntax simple for Python, and the second string we have only one word, simple. So we can see that here we have spaces that doesn't comes in alphabet category. So the output for X will be false and output for Y will be true. So this is how you can check that whether a string contains only alphabets or not. Now the method is digit. So this digit method check whether the string consists digits only. So again we have a string X and we don't have any digits in it. The second string is Y and the value is 2020. Definitely they are digits. So when we check it, we will get output as false and true. We can verify that. In X we don't have any digits, so output is false. In Y we have only digits, so the output is true. Now we have another method is lower. The method is lower checks whether all the case-based characters of the string are in lowercase or not. So here is a string with all characters in uppercase, and another string with all characters in lowercase. Definitely when we apply this check, we will get true for Y only. So here is the output. We can verify it again. X contains only uppercase letters and Y contains only lowercase letters. So the output for Y is true and for X is false. Now similarly we can check the string contains only numericals or not. So as you can see that there are so many methods, the time is very less, and not only methods, we have so many topics. It's a huge topic content here. We have GUIs, we have functions, we have OOPS concept, we have file handling, we have MySQL, we have calendars, we have exceptions, and then all these topics cannot be covered in this 1 hour of time. So now I'm ending my session over here. If someone wants to take a look on these topics, we have this demo versions for download on our website, Santec Learning. You can check this learning material. It's a package of Python, machine learning, and deep learning, and you can download the samples. You can download the demo version and go through the topics, and definitely it will help you to understand these technologies in this in a very simpler way. It have a very interacting way. We have used this approach to interact with the beginners. So please do check, and thank you for your time. So here you can download the free trial. We have a package here for Python, machine learning, and deep learning, all three together. You can see the course details here, the topic we are going to cover in this particular package. And definitely it will help you out to understanding these technologies in a very simpler way. So please do visit here, and thank you for your time. Thank you very much.